Welcome to the Australian Property Investment Podcast, where we tackle the big questions in property investing. Our guests are industry experts, and we're fortunate to pick their brains on the challenges that investors often encounter when growing their property portfolio. Welcome to the Australian Property Investment Podcast. Let's start investing. G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Christie David, and I run a mortgage broking business called Atelier Wealth. But I say that's not the point with our podcast. What is the point is that we try to get people who have a story to share, they're best in breed, or they've just been there, done that, and they want to share their journey with our listeners as well, which I get a kick out of. And the feedback that we get from our listeners is this is something that really resonates with them, is tell me how someone's done it. Because success leaves clues. So before we do kick off, I want to just advise that this is general in nature and not intended to give advice. So if you do need advice, please do seek out a professional. So today's guest, proud to say I know her very, very well. Trinity Maat is our client services manager. When we interviewed Trinity, I want to say last year before you joined us, something that really resonated with Bernadette and I was confidence. And we talk about confidence when you're going to buy a property, confidence in your options, for example. That's the business that we think that we're in. We're in the home buying and the investing business, not the loan business. And something that Trinity really brought to the table was the level of confidence, having been through a conveyancing journey as well. So we'll touch on that in a second, Trinity. But I want to say welcome. It's a real pleasure and treat to have a co-worker on, but also an investor, an all-round great human as well. So welcome.
Thank you, Aaron. Glad to be here.
Perfect. We're going to get into your story in a minute, but I think what we really want to talk about is someone of your age, and I'll let you kind of give away some numbers there as well. 2 properties under your belt, and I guess where that really comes out for me personally is, you and I probably deal with a lot of our clients, I'd say potential clients that build a wall mentally, just going, I don't think I can do it. Damien and I have talked about recently, I think the SMH article, which said 10% of people think they can or can actually get into the market. We said that's not good enough in terms of 10% of Australians believe they can get into the property market. No, 10 out of 10 Australians should be able to get into the property market. This is a country that the great Australian dream should be still alive. And quite often the loan is the hindrance or gets in the way. And so let's remove that barrier. Let's find the right home that you can afford when you can afford, because the time to buy is always now or when Absolutely. You're able to. So before we do a kick-off, in tradition, it's something that we call the 3 Ps. It's a little bit yourself personally, professionally, and your own property journey, and that will kind of lead into where we go to next.
Sure. So personally, I am a Wollongong local.
Yep.
I have lived there for 7 years now. I live with my partner, Aiden, and our cat, Toast.
Yeah.
I enjoy sport and going to the beach and shopping and just all that.
Everything Wollongong has to offer.
Absolutely. I'd never leave. We wanted to leave. We wanted to go to Perth.
Yeah.
But I got a job at Atelier and I thought, why would we leave? Professionally, I am a client services manager at Atelier Wealth. I started in a conveyancing background. I did my associate degree in law.
Yeah.
Became qualified to be a conveyancer, just never became licensed because I decided that conveyancing wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into a finance role, which is why I approached Atelier for a job.
Yeah.
And my goal is to, as you're aware, become a broker.
Absolutely.
So I'm on my journey to become a broker now.
Yeah. And the attributes that make a great broker from my perspective, problem solving, great with people, clients, but that can-do attitude. And I feel like, not blowing any smoke, but you've got all that and more. And I feel your own personal journey and what you've achieved, that is what connects, will resonate with people that go, how did you do it? And that's ultimately the secret sauce that we want to have a chat about today.
Thank you.
So let's go back to kind of high school, and you've graduated high school. I'd say the traditional route at that point is probably for people to go to uni because you have studied.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
you've chosen to go into the workforce and then cut your teeth working and then gone on to study. So take us through a little bit about that journey.
So I finished uni. I wanted to go into a business role. Finished school, wanted to go into a business role. I was looking for a traineeship. I landed a job in a law firm in Wollongong,
Yeah.
and I did my traineeship there. And then about 3 months into that role, I was a receptionist and I moved into a paralegal role.
Nice.
So I started in family law, worked around a little bit in estates and wills, and then I eventually started working in property law. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And so that was what made me change from a associate degree to a major in conveyancing as well. So then I was approached in my third year at uni. I was approached by a conveyancing firm in Wollongong.
Yeah.
I took the leap to go and work there. It was an amazing opportunity. I learnt a lot, but I just decided that conveyancing was too, I suppose, the same day in, day out.
Yeah.
I really liked it, but I also missed the finance side of things, so doing numbers for settlements and like helping clients, you know, in the beginning, helping them make offers. I wasn't doing that in that role, and I realised that I really missed it.
Yeah.
So I decided that I would find another industry to work in, and I landed in mortgages. I thought I'd give it a go, and then I started working at Atelier under yourself and Bernadette, and I really enjoyed it. Love working with clients, like helping them.
Yeah.
My favourite thing is to advise them what to do when they go to an auction. I'm like, let me tell you. I will tell you. And, that's where I am now, and I have loved it from day one. I love it now. I just really love being in the property sphere as well, personally and professionally, and I think I have a lot to offer clients.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the – thank you so much, right? Your journey kind of – what they say, you connect the dots looking backwards, everything about your journey. So starting in an office environment, for example, learning how an office and corporate culture works. Conveyancing firm, I know you've spoken fondly about, those early years in working under someone that's paperless, for example, quite progressive in the way that they ran their business, moving to probably maybe a slightly bigger firm, cutting your teeth in there, but then being exposed to a little bit more, I guess, on volume, and then coming to our team, and then seeing from a finance, you probably see before someone engages a conveyancer, for example, how much work probably happens pre that point.
Absolutely.
And then all the questions, and it's like, then they go, the big question is how to, go to auction or making the offer. And that's, I think we all get a kick out of that at that point going,
we're here, we're at a destination, you've got your pre-approval, let's make it happen.
Yeah. And I think it's the ideal sequence for us, right? Like, let's get organised. And the amount of times we'll just touch on, say, the client experience. So the ones that go very, very smoothly or more enjoyable or less stress is, I want to get organised, I've got a pre-approval, pound the pavement, find the right property, go through due diligence. The ones where it flips around, where it's, I found the property, now I need to get the loan, now I need to do my research, due diligence. That's the stressful client experience, which we're not advocates for at all.
Absolutely. And I am always banging on to clients, do your due diligence, get a contract reviewed, get a pest and building report, a quality pest and building report, like, do as much research and get as much education as you can.
Yeah.
And it makes the world of difference.
Yeah. Well said. So take me through. So I guess what we want to do is talk about your own journey. So how did someone, again, very with all due respect, at your age as a young Australian, go from no properties to 2 properties in a number of years, for example? Like, take us through that journey.
Yeah. So Aiden and I, my partner, we started saving when we were 18. So we left high school, started working full time. Aiden started his apprenticeship. I started my traineeship. And
we're not talking big incomes at that stage either at 18.
I remember I was earning $400 a week and I think Aiden was earning maybe $600 a week when we first started working full time.
They're talking combined household income. Not a lot. Yeah.
We were very fortunate. We lived at home until we moved out of home and bought our first property. Never paid any rent. So that was a massive help. So we started saving when we were 18. We started out by doing 50-50. I think we were saving like $200 a week each.
Yeah.
And then we our incomes increased, and then we soon quickly realised that if we do this relative to Aiden's income and my income, we're going to get nowhere. So then we had a hard conversation and we said, we're in it for the long term.
Yeah.
Let's just save as much as possible. So we saved and saved and saved, and then we had about $30,000 sitting in our savings account.
Yeah.
In that time as well, we paid off Aiden's car loan.
Nice.
He had a sizable car loan that we paid off. And then it was December 2020. So I don't know if you remember, but there was the home builder grants were floating around. And it was about 2 weeks out from the December, like Christmas holiday period. And I was sitting around talking to my mum about, you know, we want to buy, but we're not ready. And I distinctly remember my mum saying to me, why aren't you ready? Why? What's stopping you? I'm like, oh, we just want a little bit more money saved. Where I think at that point we were 20. Oh, we just want a little bit more money saved. Mum's like, you've got a $25,000 home builder grant, cash in the bank. You've got first home buyer stamp duty concessions.
Yep.
At that point as well, you could get a $10,000 grant if you bought a property under $600,000. And because I was working in conveyancing, I knew all of this. This was my job to know this. And it was like a light bulb moment. It was like, Mum's right. We could buy off the plan, put down a 5% deposit for $30,000 on a $600,000 property. And so we did.
Nice.
Monday morning, I was on realestate.com. I was calling agents. What have you got off the plan? Found a property. I signed our contract on the 23rd of December.
Wow.
And we got all the grants.
Yep.
And it was a turning point for us. It was like, why didn't we do this sooner? And if we had have known a little bit earlier, we probably could have got a better quality property or a little bit more choice. Yeah. But we're happy with the property we got.
How good's that? That's, I think that's an underrated part about buying. It's the happiness or the contentment that comes with it, going, we could have done it this way, it happened. And
that's right.
You can't dwell on what's happened. And I think one of the big things I hear, and again, we're very privileged that we get to speak to a lot of people, and in some cases speaking to parents. And sometimes parents, and I've touched on this in the past, parents can kind of become enablers or detractors, disablers, and taught their kids out of it. You don't want to buy there, you don't want to buy here. It's like, well, what you bought, and that Jack Tui videos just nails it. Buying in 83 versus buying in 2023, they're different markets. You cannot possibly compare when parents buy to when we buy, and what we buy and how we buy. It's a very different style of living. For example, apartment living is now favorable for some people, right? But in your point, buy off the plan, some people go, never buy off the plan. It's like, well, you can't project that on someone. If that's what suits them at this time of life, for what they can afford, they're in the market. And there's some risk buying off the plan. You just have to know those risks before you go in, eyes wide open.
Absolutely. And that was the risk that we ran. Yeah. And we did
something. And you know that working in a conveyancing office off the plan, like that's where it's the pointy end.
And I think it was like me working in the conveyancing office and doing the research, like listening to podcasts, reading books, that gave me the confidence to go, you know what, let's just pull the trigger.
Nice.
Otherwise we'll be waiting for ages.
Yeah.
And we actually did something that I would never advise anybody to do. We bought off the plan off a brand new builder who had never built anything before. He had no track record or anything. And we were like, oh, what's the worst that could happen? So
the eternal optimist, right? We've got the eternal optimist in our team. But I think, fortune favors the brave. You could look at it from different angles, but you took some action, and you can say, some people say it's lucky, others just say, look, mate, exactly that. You pulled the trigger, and that's the outcome that happens when you become decisive. So take me through. So you've had some time. So I guess the beauty is off the plan. You have some time to save, or
Correct.
it's a target and due date in mind. So you kind of puts a bit of a rocket underneath you guys as well. But traditionally, I mean, you look at any 18 to 20 something year old, and it's a time of going out. It's a time of maybe some travel. Did you give up a little bit of that, for example?
Absolutely, we did.
Yeah.
Our friends were always going out clubbing
Yeah.
and like going on overseas holidays
Yeah.
and stuff like that. We didn't really go out clubbing.
Yeah.
We definitely ate out a lot.
Yeah.
It's still a big crutch for us.
I'd say it's a vice. It's just something enjoyment.
That's
right. So
right.
there's got to be some type
Yeah.
of sanity in life.
That's right. And Aiden and I still haven't gone overseas. It
Yeah.
is a goal of ours,
Yeah.
but
Which is a
we
big thing. I mean, for us as Australians, like the badge of honour is being able to go
absolutely.
overseas pretty regularly, but it takes a lot to concede or admit that, look, hey, man, we've had to forego an overseas holiday. I mean, you still take pretty regular breaks from our perspective. It's like, you'd shorter trips, for example,
That's right.
but a bit more regular as
That's
opposed to a big overseas holiday.
Yeah, that's right. So it is definitely one of our goals.
Yeah.
But we prioritised buying our first home
Yeah.
over going overseas.
Yeah.
And we were in the middle of COVID lockdown
That
as
was-
well, which helped a lot.
Yeah.
So all we could do is work.
Yeah.
We couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a big help.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest thing for us buying off the plan was we wanted to put down a 10% deposit.
Mhm.
Neither of us wanted to get a guarantor.
Okay. Yeah.
That was our biggest thing. Aiden's parents are close to retiring. My parents are 10 years off retiring. We didn't want either of them to have to put up their house as collateral.
Okay.
So that's another reason why we bought off the plan, so that we had that time to save the other 5% deposit.
Again, it's different strokes for different folks, but I mean, we look at the bank of mum and dad, whether it's guarantors or cash. Gives the fifth biggest bank in Australia, right? So there's a time and a place for the bank of mum and dad, and some
Absolutely.
people have that. Some people have that ability, or some people have parents that are saying, "Look, we want to help out."
And it
And
is
then-
such a good tool.
Yeah,
Absolutely, it is. But personally, we just didn't want to go
Yeah.
down that path.
no, it's fair enough. I respect that, and that's. I mean, even in my own conversations with clients, I say, look, you don't have the deposit, but you've got good borrowing capacity. Is a guarantor loan an option? It's like, absolutely not. We want to do it ourselves. And I think I won't say it's an ego or a pride thing. It's just like, I think personal satisfaction. Go, look, our parents have done a fair bit for us. We want to stand on our own 2 feet. And at a young age, it's pretty admirable as well that you had that attitude.
I think that was a big hindrance for us as well, is that both Aiden and I were very proud. We're like, no, we don't need help. But I feel like if we accepted a little bit more help, we might be a little bit more better off. But we'll,
That's all right. I think sometimes when you do it yourself, there's personal satisfaction. You
Absolutely.
almost appreciate it a little bit more.
Absolutely.
It's like when your parents buy you a car versus when you save for it.
yeah.
Big difference in how you treat that
Absolutely.
car as an example as well. So take me through. So you've got the property number one under your belt, lived in it for a while and get the grants, and then I know that you moved out. So take us through that decision to then move out to then look at your next acquisition as well.
Yeah. So we lived in it for 11 months to satisfy the first home buyer conditions. We always wanted to turn it into an investment property, and we wanted to move out of Albion Park, which is where our property is and where both of our parents are as well. So the plan was to move to Perth, as I said earlier. We were out of there. We were like, no. Aiden had lived in Albion Park his whole life.
Right.
I've moved around with my parents my whole life. So it was a combination of Aiden's been in one place, I'm used to moving around. So I was getting a little bit, I suppose, feeling a little bit tied down by being in one place for so long.
Yeah.
So we were like, Perth. Never been there in our lives. We were moving there. Like, we met with our financial advisor and we told her we were moving to Perth.
Yeah.
That was it. She's like, okay, good luck. And then Aiden got cold feet and I couldn't find any jobs here in the Illawarra for like entry-level roles for mortgage broking.
Yeah.
Couldn't find any in Perth. We even looked at Canberra, couldn't find any in Canberra. And then there was 2 jobs that came up. One was with Atelier and one was with another mortgage broking role.
Yeah.
Didn't get the other mortgage broking role, obviously. But then Atelier offered me the job. So I said to Aiden, I said, if I get this job with Atelier, we'll stay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I got the job.
It's all sliding
We decided
doors
to
stuff,
stay.
isn't it?
And at that point, I was like, well, if I'm going to be working in Thurrool, which is where our office is, I don't want to live in Albion Park anymore. Let's move to another suburb in the Illawarra. Yes. So we started looking, and as you know, the first week that I worked at Atelier, we got keys for our house in Farnborough Heights for our rental property. So we were rent vesting for a while, and that was really good. Yeah. It was good to gauge how investing works and how it is to not manage, but own an investment property and liaise with rental managers and liaise with tenants, as well as get that experience from the other side. That was something that I really valued, was being a tenant myself, so that I know how my tenant needs to be treated. Yeah. So we were in a little shoebox paying $600 a week, driving each other insane. And then we decided this is it. So I was talking to Bernadette one day in a coffee shop and I was telling her our plans. You know, we were going to save up cash for another deposit. Yeah. And Bernie said to me, how much loan do you have in your other property and how much equity do you think you have? And I said, oh, that's a good point. I suppose we would have a little bit of equity because we bought in 2020. Yeah. And then at that point it was 2022, end of 2022. So property prices had gone up. And so we had a look at it and Damien helped and Nate helped. It was really all hands on deck. Yeah, everybody was involved. It was great. And then we worked out that we actually had a fair bit of equity in our home. Yeah. And so Aiden and I decided to purchase our next home. Nice. In Farnborough Heights where we were renting. Yeah. And we love it there.
Well done.
Yeah.
And then the team gets bigger because you had a chat with Jack Corbett
as
well,
right.
buyer's agent. So
that's right.
And then your conveyancer jumps in.
Yeah.
So the team just slowly started expanding.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think what you did is you had the right combination from when I looked at it, the right attitude going, we know we want to buy. We want to get out of renting, for example, because you almost felt that would lock you in a little bit more. We've got the ability to. So I often say buying is a combination of attitude and ability, and you had those two. And then the next part was, well, then how? Find me a way. I know that Damien and Nate, I could see them brainstorming and here's how you could do it. And once you connected the dots going, hey, this is actually possible, then it's like, right, let's get finance organised and let's start to pound the payment. And even that in itself was, I see you experience the roller coaster, what clients go through, which is seeing a property, falling in love, not meant to be. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we did have that experience and it was heartbreaking. You should have heard the words coming out of Aiden's mouth. He was filthy. But it turns out that we found something, same specs.
Yep.
Bigger, better, and a street over.
Yeah.
And that's what we ended up buying, which was, meant to be.
Exactly that. So, and it's hard once you miss out. And I think and we spoke about auctions, I remember that the tension in the air, we could cut it. Like I feel like we were all going to auction.
Yeah.
Like, Trent, let's go, let's win this thing. We'll put this champagne on ice. And it's like, not meant to be.
Yeah.
And clients will have that where it's like, I want it, missed out, and just that feeling of helplessness, or it's like, oh, this will never happen, just creeps in, and that frustration then starts to seep in from maybe one partner. And then it's like it's far more emotional than it is rational. It's like, hey, we want to buy the house, but then you got this roller coaster of emotions that come with looking, time on a Saturday, building and pest, finance, miss out, back to the drawing board. And it's like, hey, look, it's easy for us to say, but it's just that wasn't meant to be that one.
Absolutely.
Or what could you have done differently if you really wanted it? Was it a compelling pre-auction offer? Was it going unconditional? Was it engaging a buyer's agent who maybe had clout with the real estate agent, for example, as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
All of the above. So take me through, I guess, combination of your own journey and then when you're talking to clients, what's some of the things that you have learnt during this home buying process as well?
Yeah, well, I've learnt pest and building report is the best money you'll ever spend.
Some people say, I don't. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, Aidan and I went to view a property on a Friday afternoon.
Yep.
We were adamant that we were going to buy this property.
Yep.
Our pest and building inspector came back and said that he found termites in the property. It was basically riddled with termites.
Yeah.
And we were about to spend $900,000 on this property. As soon as we heard termites, that was it.
Yeah.
No go.
Because I'll say, I mean, in some reports we'll say like it's termites, but it's not an issue. It's like low risk, for example. Like most older style properties have some termite presence. It just depends if it's a deal breaker, for example. And in this and I know from your example, it definitely was a deal breaker.
So we were really fortunate in the fact that over the course of buying our first home, so when we bought our first home and we did a 90-day report, we engaged a building and pest inspector. Yeah. And then we actually built a relationship with him. I built a relationship with him professionally. I was referring clients to him.
Nice.
And then we built a personal relationship with him. So it would get to the point where he wouldn't even send me the report. He'd just call up and say, hey, Trin, I found termites. And I'd say, all right, is this something that you would buy if it was shoe was on the other foot?
Yeah.
He said, look, if I was a builder, go for it. If Aidan was a builder, go for it. But you guys are time poor professionals. Don't bother. Yeah. And that was so valuable to us. We spent maybe $1,500 over the course of looking at properties, and he saved us thousands.
Yeah, nice.
So definitely a money well spent situation. Yeah.
Perfect. I guess looking at some of the traits, and again, we see from people that make successful offers, people that get from, no finance, I want to buy a house, to getting keys into their hand versus people that procrastinate or people that agonize over decisions or let things kind of, the market get in the way of making decisions, or rising interest rates, for example, whereas I know that you've just had to go, look, we're going to do it rising interest rates and we have to adjust our lifestyle accordingly. As hard as that is for us as well. But I guess, personal journey overlaid that with clients, for example. What do you think maybe top 2-3 attributes are of people that go on to, I mean, you're young and you've already got 2 under your belt, whereas we've got some people that are older that are still struggling, and it's like, hey, mate, come on, like home ownership is the key here. And you're missing the point sometimes when you're worried about 0.05% on the interest rate, or
totally
you're going to spend that much on a property. Don't let the bloody colour of the front door get in the way. So I guess how have you, back to that question, is a couple of characteristics, traits that you go, hey, this is what gets rewards?
My the biggest thing that I've seen is clients that have a willingness to learn and educate themselves. Yeah, okay. It's the clients that are willing to listen to me babble on for 15 minutes about the importance of getting a pest and building report and getting a contract reviewed. They're the clients that are happy and find properties and are successful. It's the clients that think they know everything and don't care to listen to me and don't, or to you or to their conveyancer, or like it's those clients that you just see are constantly looking at properties, that are not good properties, or they might try and buy in an area where there's a building defect. Those are the clients that I really I feel for, because they're so close-minded.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well said. I think it's probably something that maybe doesn't get talked about, which is coachability, or that you're right. Talk about success leaving clues. We've done this plenty of times. But plenty of successful people have gone on to build successful portfolios, for example. Why wouldn't you lean on some of that experience, that knowledge, or expertise? And we're not saying that we've got it all, but the broader team, whether it's the buyer's agent, the conveyancer, the real estate. I mean, the real estate agents sold thousands of these bad boys in this area. They're not going to flog a bad property. If they do, they usually disclose that, it may have some issues or it needs some work. And that's maybe the opportunity to seize on as well. But I think the frustration we see is people get buyer fatigue. So I just want this to end, pay significantly over just to make the pain go away sometimes. Like, hey, look, trust the process, mate. Get organised, get approved. You pound the pavement. If you're struggling, get a buyer's agent, for example. Almost
invest that money.
Correct. The buyer's agent's a little bit of that insurance policy to go, right, help me be that conduit between us and a real estate agent, for example. Try to avoid going to auction, which can maybe blow out as well. And I think everything you've got, that wisdom and the experience that you've got gives you empathy, but also gives you experience to go, hey, look, let me help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Trin, I say thank you very much. I know it takes a lot. It takes a lot for someone to come on and talk about their story. I think quite often people, we have this with other clients. I've only bought a couple. Like, hey, mate, but you missed the point here. You've done something. People want to hear from that. And just like you, there's other young females that go, hey, look, I do have aspirations to buy property, or young couples going, if they've done it, and it's not to say take anything away. Hey, if they've done it, we can do it.
Absolutely. And everyone at the moment, I find, especially people my age, they're so close-minded and, we'll never buy a property and, we'll never be able to save a deposit. But, like, they just need to just do it.
Isn't it?
And I know, like, you can't just say, just do it. Like, it's not that easy, and it wasn't easy for us. We had to work really hard to get where we are. We were very fortunate in the fact that we didn't pay rent, and we had, like, access to education and access to people like you and people like my other colleagues who I'd bounce ideas off. But I just encourage people, just reach out to a broker and just ask the questions. Reach out to a conveyancer, a buyer's agent, real estate agent, like you said. Just ask the questions and see if you're really passionate about buying your first home or buying an investment property. All you have to do is ask the questions and get that underway.
Yeah. And don't take no for an answer. If someone says, many times people gone to a bank or maybe another broker, and we're not perfect, but we're like, hey, look, there are options. You may not love them, but these are your options, for example.
That's right.
Don't take no for an answer.
Absolutely. Where do I need to start to get to where I want to be?
Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's a great way to wrap up. So Trin's a very open book. So if you do want to have a chat to Trin about how she's gone to buy 2 properties with her partner Aidan, or you're fortunate to deal with Trin as you use our team to buy, I'd say that, you're better for the experience as well. And that's why we love what you bring to the table, Trin. And if you found this episode helpful, love it. Leave a review, drop us a comment. And sometimes we get questions about, some future topics. So we'd love that too. Because if you're thinking it, then guaranteed other investors or home buyers are having the same question as well. So that's a wrap for another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron. Until next time, take care.